Hello and welcome to Intro to Marketing 115116. My name is Teresa Heinz-Hausel and I'll be your instructor for the course this semester. Well, I'm excited for our class and I'm really looking forward to working with you this semester. I'll share a little bit about me toward the end of the intro video, but what I would like to do is before you even get into our stream site or read the course guide, what I'd like to do is encourage you to watch this intro video where I talk a little bit about what our course is about, what you can expect in terms of the workload. Also, I'll very quickly go over the assignments because there's going to be a separate video where I'll talk about the overview of our assessments. And I'd also like to share a little bit about myself as well. Well, if I had to summarize our overall course in a single sentence, I would say that it's based on the marketing process that's introduced in Chapter 1 of our textbook. In Chapter 1, you're going to see what our textbook calls a 5-step or 5-stage marketing process, and it's going to be represented as a graphic like a chart in our textbook. Just a huge heads up that as you look through our textbook, you'll see different complex processes that are represented as graphics or charts. Those are really big heads up of major concepts that you'll want to be aware of the course, or major processes that you'll want to understand in our course. And before I get any further, I do want to say this is definitely the course where you will need to have a copy of the textbook. So we are using the Armstrong 6th edition. A lot of students ask what edition of the book should I be using. So that is the edition that my slides are based off of, that our quiz test bank questions are coming from. And I do realize there's other editions of this book out there, and there's also a 7th edition that I believe is already out, but we are not using that yet in our course at Massey. We are using the 6th edition. You can get that as an ebook, which is completely fine. You don't have to get the hard copy. The great thing about the ebook is that you can search through it. So particularly for myself, I have both a hard copy and I have the ebook, and I really like the ebook PDF because I'm able to search through it and find keywords. But I just wanted to mention that before I go any further, because a lot of students ask me, do I need to purchase the textbook? Yes, you do for the class. So let's talk a little bit about what this course is about. So it is about the marketing process that we are introducing in Chapter 1. And really, probably one of the things I love most about this class is that it looks at how marketing truly is everywhere. And your experience of making marketing decisions in your own life as a consumer, but also you'll be seeing how organizations make marketing decisions all the time as well. So during this course, you'll become more aware of marketing in action. And we'll demonstrate these ideas by looking at real cases, real examples about how marketing is used by organizations in everyday life. Now, in this course, you can look forward to learning and understanding the marketing process and also marketing decisions that an organization makes in order to market its products and services. So in other words, you'll learn to think like a marketer, and you'll also learn about how the focus of marketing really is in the consumer, like the consumer, you and I. We are the final customer. And we're going to look at how companies, and just a heads up, when I say companies in our course, I don't just mean for-profit companies, but this could be nonprofit organizations like charities. It could be like a social club that's trying to attract customers or attract members. All of these different types of organizations focus on who is their target customer or target customers, that they have more than one kind of person that they are trying to reach out to when they segment the basis for marketing. And organizations are trying to meet their consumers' needs, and that is paramount to having a successful marketing campaign and also a successful organization, whether you're trying to get more awareness of a social cause or you are trying to make profit if you're a for-profit business. Also in our course, we'll be looking at becoming adept in understanding the marketplace that businesses and organizations operate in. And that's going to come on pretty early on in our class. And we'll look at how you can gather important information to make wise marketing decisions. Really, if I had to summarize it, we could take the material from our course and we can say that marketing is essentially about creating. It's about communicating, delivering, exchanging offerings that have value for customers, for clients, and for society at large. And it's also, this process is also characterized by 4 activities. Number 1, organizations like companies are trying to, first of all, create products and services that serve customers. That is probably one of the most important points in our entire course that comes up very early on in chapter 1. And that in that 5-step or 5-stage marketing process that's laid out in chapter 1, companies, first of all, have to figure out their final consumers' needs, wants, and demands, because they're trying to create a service or product that has a value proposition. In other words, it's something that the person that they're imagining at the end of the line, who's their target customer, is going to want, is going to use. Now, also a big heads up that in our class, our course is talking about a service as another form of a product. So we have a lot of services. We definitely, many of us live in, no matter where you are around the world, many of you will be in overall cultural context where it will be very much a service economy where, like, for example, cafes, beauty services is another great example of services. They are a type of product. So our course, whenever you hear service, just think that's another word for product, and that will come up again and again in our class. So just to talk about these 4 activities that really characterize what marketing essentially is. First of all, creating products and services that have value, that serve customers. Secondly, communicating a clear value proposition. Thirdly, delivering products and services. Remember that services are a form of product in a way that optimize value for the final consumer, like you and I at the very end. And fourth, exchanging or trading value for these offerings. So what I'm trying to get at here is that the final consumer, the person who either walks into the restaurant and purchases the coffee, the person who orders that item that they see on that website, they have to feel like they're getting something for this value exchange. And that's one of the big points of our course. And as we go through our course, we're going to look at a lot of real life examples that will help us understand these concepts. So you're at the very beginning of this new course, and as you get started, I just want to let you know that as you look down through the Stream site, first of all, I've opened up all the weeks of Stream, and you'll see when you look on each Stream site that I have a variety of multimedia resources like lecture videos. I have guiding questions each week that help structure the material. I also have handouts as necessary, and I also have a lot of other resources to help you learn the material. But to be able to really talk a little bit more just about these different resources that are available to you, what I'd like you to do, first of all, after you've watched this video, is to read our course guide. So you'll see when you look through our course guide, it's posted on the first page of our course, that it lists our overall course policies. And in that course guide, you're going to see what we are calling the course outline. That course outline should be your master list that you should be referring to follow all the due dates for the assignments throughout the semester. And I really strongly encourage you to print out that course outline and to post it somewhere where you can see it really easily. So whether that's a wall that's in the back of your computer, that's probably what I'm going to do. And I'm also going to write down the dates in my diary as well, so I'll be able to follow them. I've also made a PDF of that course outline, and I've posted it just below the course guide that's on that first page of our Stream page. So if you want it as a separate document, you're able to do that and you're able to print it out. Also, if you wish to contact me, you'll notice when you look both on our Stream site and on the course guide that we have a course email address, and that's the address that you should be contacting both me and also our course admin assistant, who will be helping me with things like extensions or other assignment questions that you have throughout the semester. And I'll share more information about that person very shortly in our class. But be sure to use the course email address to contact me, not my private email address. Also, I really encourage you, before you try to email me, it's not like I discourage interacting or answering your questions, but because our class is such a large class, what my past students would say this to you as well. Use the discussion forums whenever possible to post questions that you have about assignments, questions to me, questions to the class. And when you look on the discussion forums, make sure that the question that you're asking hasn't already been answered. You'll find that is often the case that students will be answering questions. Now, I will be monitoring those discussion forums throughout the semester. I'll talk a little bit more about them in just a bit, but we will be looking more at the communication tools in our course. But what I would like to share with you now is just to talk for a few minutes about the expectations that you can have for the workload for the class. So when you look on our first page on our stream page, you're going to see two different documents. One of them is going to be advice from my most recent distance class of students. Whenever I finish a course during the semester, I always ask the students, what advice would you have for the new students coming into this class for how to do well in the class, or advice for managing the workload, advice for approaching the different assignments, taking the tests, or any other general helpful information that you would like your new students to know about just coming into the class. And I always say to the class, you've just been through this class, you've used Stream, so what advice would you give them? I really encourage you to read that document. That's from their comments that they very graciously have allowed me to share with you. But overall, when I asked my class this most recently, they told me, they said, Dr. Housel, they said, the first thing we want you to tell this new class is about the workload. And that is just so important. So, and you'll see that when you look at the document. So our course is called Intro to Marketing, but do not let the word intro fool you. This is not a blow-off class. And I'm definitely aware that many professors say this about their classes, but it really is the truth about this class. It's not a blow-off class, and you really will have to manage your workload because, first of all, you have multiple assignments that are often happening at the same time. Like you might have multiple quizzes that are opening and closing that you need to be able to keep track of the deadlines. You also have what are called problem-solving exercises. There's 3 of them this semester, and I've spaced them out for you, but you want to be aware that they're coming up. Also, preparing for both the test in week 7 and the final exam is not a blow-off experience. And I would say this as the instructor, having done the class, that this class really forces you to work very much take responsibility for your learning. Like for me as an instructor, I really do work hard to put a lot of resources to help you learn. You'll see that, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But ultimately, it's up to you to do the learning for the class. So that means you have to get the textbook. You have to do the reading to be able to do the weekly quizzes. And those quizzes can be very detailed questions, and we'll say more about those in a little bit. But also the problem-solving exercises are not blow-off assignments. You do have to put time into them to do well on them. And related to these issues, under the advice from my most recent students from a few weeks ago, I also created a frequently asked questions document with questions that I get most frequently in this class as an instructor, both in the internal course that I've done as well as the distance one. And I'm sharing my answers to you. And I hope that saves you some time. So if there's anything that you're wondering, hopefully it will be answered in that document. And I really very strongly to encourage you to read the course guide, the course outline, the advice from past students, and the frequently asked questions right as you get started in this class when this site is open and you're able to start looking at that. So what I encourage you to do now is the site is just open. So I'd encourage you to one of your first steps should be to explore the Stream site and just get used to the different weeks that I've organized it into. And if you have any class with me, you know that I use technology a lot in my classes, and I definitely use Stream heavily in all my classes. And you'll see, first of all, that there's an assessments page that covers what are called the weekly quizzes, as well as the 3 problem-solving exercises, the test, and also the final exam. And I wanted to say that the materials for the first assignment, the first problem-solving exercise that's due in the beginning of week 4, those will be up within the next few days. So you'll be able to go ahead and get started on those before the course even opens. And by the very beginning of this course, by the first day of the semester, all 3 of the problem-solving exercises, that includes the assignment briefs, the video overview that I do where I talk through the assignment and I share slides, and any other materials that you need to do these 3 problem-solving exercises will be available by the first day of our official semester. And that's to assist any students who would like to go ahead, and you're welcome to go ahead and get those done early if you'd like to do that. And I know a lot of distance students find that very helpful. So in our class, we do have weekly quizzes. Generally, they open on a Sunday at 5 p.m. and they close 2 weeks later on a Monday at 10 p.m. And those times are all in New Zealand Standard Time. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time right now on the assessments because I'm going to talk about those in my assessments overview video. I also encourage you to check out the communication tools page. And when you look at that page, you're going to see, first of all, that there's a news forum. From that news forum, every Monday by 9 a.m., I send out a weekly marketing message with any announcements and reminders that you need to be aware of for that week. You'll also see, as you look through that page, that you're going to see that there's going to be a discussion forum for our problem-solving exercises. And there'll just be one discussion forum for all 3 exercises. And I'll talk more about that in my assessments overview video. And I do want to clarify that discussion forum for the problem-solving exercises is actually on the discussion forum page on Stream. But you'll see on the communication tools page that there's a discussion forum for the weekly quizzes, just one. And as we go down through the semester, on the test page, there'll be a discussion forum on the test page as well as on the final exam. Now, starting week 2 in our class, you will be having a weekly tutorial discussion forum. This is a completely optional exercise, but what you'll have as you go throughout the semester is you'll have a tutor who will be marking your work throughout the semester, and they'll also be interacting with you on the tutorial discussion forum just for your group of students that they're marking. Every Monday, your tutor will post an overall general question for discussion. Like I said, this is completely optional. You're not required to do this. You don't get points for doing it. You don't lose points for not doing it. And on those discussion forums, you're also invited to ask any general questions that you have about course concepts and about the reading. But any specific questions that you have about the assignments, those should come to those assignment forums where I am monitoring them. And I'll be coming in and out of the tutorial discussion forums, but that really is mostly your space with your tutors. But any specific questions like extensions, specific requirements on word count, those do not go to your tutors. Those come to me and my admin assistant. And you'll either ask them on the assignment discussion forum, like, for example, the problem-solving exercise discussion forum, which should be your first point of contact, should be the discussion forum, or you'll ask it by contacting us at the course email address. So please see the course guide for just a complete overview of how we'll be using the discussion forums in our class this semester. And I'll say more about that in just a little bit, but as you look down through our course on Stream, you'll see under every week they have a weekly lecture for every week. And I wanted to mention that these are full lectures. They're around an hour long, and they include slides. And I post the slides in both PowerPoint format, also as PDF format. And under each week on Stream, I also have course concepts for that week, learning objectives, and I also have links to additional materials if they're necessary, and also guiding questions that I use to help structure the information that I'm taking from the textbook from that week. And then when you look on Stream, you'll see on one of our last pages on Stream, it's called a supplementary resources page. And there's where I have additional links and videos related to each week's content that you're welcome to look if you'd like to learn more about the information that we're covering from that week. Now, the guiding questions that I mentioned just a minute ago, those I use in all of my classes, and I use them to help students understand what material that I'm pulling from the week that I'm saying is really important, with an eye toward knowing knowing the structure of the class and the material coming up, as well as our test, and also knowing the process of how we'll be getting ready for the final exam. You'll also notice under each week on stream that I have a list of tasks that you should be completing for that week. But I do want to tell you that there are not specific dates for the quiz opening and closing dates. That information is in your course outline. So that is your master list of due dates, quiz opening, quiz closing dates, problem solving exercise due dates, live stream sessions for problem solving exercises, as well as the test and final exam. That information is in your course guide. These specific dates are not under each week on stream. And again, I really encourage you to watch the separate assignments overview video where I'll talk more about these assignments in depth. So I do want to say just a little bit that I really do try hard to help you stay on task throughout the semester to really help you do your best on the different assessments. And one thing just to know about me as a person is that I'm not a last minute person. I really like to plan ahead. And I always think about that with every class. I often think about, what if there's some students that were like I was in the class and really do like to know what's coming up in the class and to have the materials posted. So that's a big reason why I went and I've opened up all the weeks of the course and I've put the lectures already up for any students that would like to work ahead on the course. Now, I do want to say just about being a distance course, I want to say a little bit about our course netiquette policy or communications policy in our class. Now, distance courses can be a little bit unusual in that students, we don't often meet face-to-face, although I know some of you are based near the Wellington campus, so I frequently do meet some of the students in our class. But please read the communications policy or netiquette policy for our class that we are using this semester. And you'll also see that it's on our communication tools page. Now, one thing to know about me as a professor is that I'm very passionate about creating my classroom, whether we are sitting in a classroom face-to-face or we are on a virtual classroom. I believe very strongly that my classroom is a safe space where students feel respected, both from myself and from other students. So in the distance class, we do have a course policy that we are following where I do ask you to be respectful in your forum posts and also in your emails to both myself and the tutors or our course admin. Please read down through the course communications policy page on stream. And if someone breaches the policy, so what that might mean on a forum, they go on a huge rant or they start using swear words on a forum. That's one thing that you need to know first off, right off the bat in this course, that I do not tolerate incivility online in this class. So first of all, when I do, if I do, hopefully I won't, but if I do, I delete it and I privately email the student and I tell you that you've breached the, first of all, you breached the etiquette policy, but also see the student code of conduct that I have printed under the course, the communications policy, and I'll send you a private email. And then the second time, it's deleted again, and then the student will lose access to the forum. Now, I don't want that to happen to anyone, but I believe very passionately that my classroom is a safe space where students are not attacked, where they're not attacking the instructor, where we speak to each other professionally. And I, in turn, treat my students like that. And if you have any class with me, you'll see that's something that's very, very important to me. And the kind of sense of community that I wanted is very much tied to my philosophy of teaching and what I want to set in my class too. So very first off, I'm very intentional about communication and tone in our class. And please read that. And I will be following that semester, and let me know if you have any questions. But I want to end just by sharing a little bit about myself. Well, I love to tell stories, so I have to be careful that I don't go on too long. So I am a lecturer at Massey, and I'm based on the Wellington campus. And I first came to Massey in early 2012 on sabbatical, and I'm sure you can tell from my accent that I'm from somewhere in North America. And I'm originally from Northeast Ohio. And when I watch these videos back, I'm just amazed like how much of my Ohio accent still sticks in, especially in my vowels. I can really hear it a lot sometimes. But to make a long story short, in early 2012, I came to the School of Communication, Journalism, and Marketing on my research sabbatical from the university called Hope, where I was a tenured faculty member in the U.S. And I was a professor of communications there, and I ran the journalism department and taught a variety of courses, such very similar to this one and other similar ones that I teach at Massey. So we came, and to go back a little bit more, in my 20s, I lived in Western Australia for 2 years, and I always wanted to live back down in this part of the world, but I just wasn't sure how to make it happen. Like, I kind of tried to get residency in Australia in my 20s, and I did, but I couldn't get a job that would pan out long term, and I was at a university there in Western Australia. So I went back to the US and I got my PhD, and kind of, you know how life just kind of takes over and you just find yourself just moving forward. And so I went for academic jobs in the US, and I eventually ended up at this, well, not eventually, I was hired by an institution called Hope, as I just mentioned. And as soon as I had the chance to come back down to this part of the world in early 2012, I did. And in early 2012, I was here teaching classes at the school, at the campus in Wellington, and we decided to migrate at that point down to New Zealand. So I went back and I told everyone that I was leaving. We basically quit our jobs. We sold a lot of our things. We sold our house. We had an entire life there. And a year later, we came with our cats and a few of our belongings. And it's been a great pleasure to be able to join the same department where I did my sabbatical. So I've been back in the School of Communication, Journalism, and Marketing at Wellington campus since 2007, teaching again. And it's just been really great because, first of all, I knew a lot of the faculty, having been here on my sabbatical, and it was familiar with Wellington. And most recently, we bought a house in Upper Hutt, so it's been really great to have our own place again and to really get really settled. And we became New Zealand citizens as well, as one thing that's happened within the last year. But I really encourage you to read my profile where I talk a bit about my research interests and hobbies, and just really, really quickly, because I don't want to, I have to be careful not to tell too many stories, but I have a really strong interest in, first of all, mental health, and that's my book that I'm working on right now is going to be looking at the rising trend of mental health issues among students, like undergraduates like yourselves, as well as postgraduate students, as well as faculty and staff. It's a really rising problem just all over the world at universities. And I'm putting a book together, and I'm also writing a chapter where I talk about this issue. And I also, in the book, I'm going to really have information for faculty like myself for working with like our colleagues and our students that are struggling with mental health issues. I have a really strong interest in students who are first in the family or first in their family to attend university. I was one of them, and I know from watching this, and I know from talking to my distance class last semester, there was other people like me in the class too that also were first in their family. So if you are first in your family to go to university, you're watching this video, please contact me because I love hearing your stories. And I'm actually creating a website where I'm putting my students' stories together, and I'm using it to help other students and also faculty and staff who work with them. So I've written 4 overall edited books and have written about my own experience of being raised by a single father and being first in my family to go to university. And you'll find that information on my profile. And also really strong interest in housing and homelessness in society. And you'll see that reflected in my journalism background. But that's all about me for now. I have a lot of hobbies like piano, and I just want to give you all a heads up. When you look through some of the lecture videos for this class, where I work, I make most of these videos at home. We have 2 cats, and sometimes one of them gets very jealous if they think I'm talking to other people, like on a video. So you will see a couple of my cats make an appearance sometimes on these videos in that class. So I've given up trying to edit them out because I just can't keep them out of the room. But just a little heads up warning. So lastly, I encourage you to introduce yourself on the Student Introductions Forum. I'll be on there as well. I really look forward to meeting you all in this class, and I hope you have a great class. And again, listen to the advice from your counterparts, your most recent classmates who finished this class. They have some great advice that they are sharing with you to do well in the class. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on stream. And I look forward to working with you this semester. Thanks.